Today, we're breaking down a really smart framework for financial advisors, and it's all about how to handle a super tricky subject, talking about artificial intelligence with your clients, without making them nervous.
And this right here, this is the big question, isn't it? Advisors are feeling this pressure to suddenly become AI experts. But here's the thing, saying too much or saying the wrong thing can completely backfire and actually damage the trust you've worked so hard to build.
And this slide just lays it all out there. There are two paths you can take. Get this conversation wrong and you sound like a pundit, just another voice making predictions, which, let's be honest, just creates anxiety. But get it right, and you position yourself as a trusted steward, someone who reinforces process and builds even deeper trust.
So let's dive into what this trap actually is. It's that feeling that you have to predict the future of AI, and that's a game you just can't win. It puts you in the position of being a technology expert, not an expert in your client's financial life, and that is a really dangerous place to be.
Okay, so now that we see the trap, how do we avoid it? Well, it all starts with a huge mindset shift. This is not about proving you know all the buzzwords. It's about reassuring your clients that you own the responsibility for their outcomes, no matter what tools are in the background. And this quote? This is the golden rule of the entire framework. Your goal isn't to give a lecture on machine learning. It's to completely shift the focus away from the tech and onto your steady, unwavering role as their financial protector. And here's exactly how you put that rule into practice. Just look at the language shift. You stop speculating about the future with phrases like AI will, and you start grounding the conversation in today with concrete, solid statements about your process and your personal accountability. So, the theory is great, right? But how do you actually have this conversation? Well, this is where the 5-step framework comes in. It's a proven script you can start using with clients like tomorrow to turn this whole idea of stewardship into a real dialogue.
So here it is, the whole playbook at a glance. Every single step is designed to show leadership and calm confidence, not just how smart you are. It's a structured path to guide your client from feeling uncertain to feeling secure.
Step 1 is all about framing. You start the conversation by immediately talking about protection. You're not talking about tech. You're talking about the critical decisions that you will always own. You're leading from the very first sentence.
Okay, so once that frame is set, you go straight to step 2, and you draw a really clear line in the sand. You acknowledge what tech is great for, math and speed, and what it's absolutely terrible at, responsibility. This shows clients they aren't paying for some fancy tool. They're paying for your judgment and your ownership.
And from there, you translate this big abstract idea of AI risk into something they can actually grasp. Instead of talking about bad AI, you calmly reframe the danger. The real risk is getting advice that nobody is actually on the hook for. It shows you're thinking ahead, not panicking.
Now, step 4 is where your value becomes totally tangible. You completely sidestep any talk about the specific tools you're using. Instead, you just pull back the curtain and say, let me show you how decisions get made around here. This is where trust is really forged, in the process, not just in your words.
And visualizing your process like this is so powerful. It shows the client that clear journey from data all the way to review. And more importantly, you can literally point to that critical handoff where technology's job ends and your human judgment, your responsibility, begins.
And finally, you land the plane with step 5. This is the ultimate reassurance. You're reinforcing your core promise to the client. Our relationship is about human accountability and you being informed. No new technology is ever going to change that.
Okay, so you've mastered the one-on-one conversation, but what about your public communications? How do you talk about AI on your website or on LinkedIn without, becoming that guy with all the hot takes?
Well, the rule for publishing is exactly the same as it is for conversations. You focus on how you work and what you refuse to outsource. You share your principles of stewardship, not your predictions about what might happen. It's just a much safer, more professional way to go. This table gives you the perfect hierarchy for communication. And notice what's at the very top, a private client letter. That's because this is all about direct, calm leadership with the people who actually matter, your clients, not about public posturing. The website page is for reference, and LinkedIn, that's just for light reinforcement, not for getting into debates. All right, let's tie all of this together. Let's look at how this whole approach makes your value, your real alpha, truly tangible for the client. See, your real value isn't that you know more about technology. It's in providing what this framework calls leadership alpha. It's that tangible sense of security a client gets from knowing exactly who owns the decisions, from seeing a transparent process, and from being protected from just blindly trusting a computer's output.
And this slide just nails the difference. On the left, you've got real, client-focused value. On the right, that's what we'd call ego-driven intellectual alpha. Using a bunch of tech jargon, comparing tools, making predictions. It might make you feel smart, but it doesn't make your client feel secure.
This one sentence, right here, it brings everything we've talked about together. It signals authority and builds trust, but without a single ounce of arrogance. It just makes your value crystal clear. This is the promise.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. In a world that is rushing towards automation, is it possible that the most valuable and the most human thing you can offer your client is simply a clear, transparent, and accountable process?